Hello and welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Thursday Thoughts? What on earth are they, I hear you ask? Well, my friend Lucy and I meet every week over on Instagram to talk all things personal growth because she is as obsessed with it as I am. And we decided that we might as well put those conversations out as a weekly podcast. So now you can listen to us chat here on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we'll be talking about topics such as spirituality, limiting beliefs, the ego, imposter syndrome, gratitude, meditation, confidence, and so much more. So if you're ready, here we go. Right. Well, do you want to start today? Because this was yours.
So really, I just thought we could talk about, because this basically we're going to talk about getting the damn thing done.
Mhm.
And this, I thought it was quite timely because I think this time of year is quite a good time of year to have a check-in with where you are, how your kind of goals for the year are going, and what you can get done before the end of the year, because we've still got a few months until the end of the year. So I just think it's a good time to check in and ask ourselves, what have I not done that I would like to do, and how can I get it done? And seeing as we call this Monday motivation, I just thought this was the classic kind of motivation topic to talk about, just getting shit done, which so often can be so incredibly hard, but it really just boils down to taking that first step and doing it that first time, which is something that can be so incredibly hard. So I thought we could just have a chat about that, really.
Yeah.
Rather a random one, but
Yeah.
hey.
No, let's do it. It's a good one because, and I think it's relevant for all of us, wherever you are at in whatever you are doing. We all have things we want to achieve, and sometimes we can put those things on the back burner. And I think, it's very easy to make excuses why we're not doing it. And I know that I'm quite good at doing this. You can find a million excuses why now is not the right time, why something's particularly busy, and why it's better to wait. And that's just a very good example of just putting it off, procrastinating, because perhaps it feels a bit scary. Perhaps and perhaps you are feeling quite maxed out with life. So that's why I think it's so important to check in, because it's just to check in and seeing, actually, are those excuses I'm making to myself, are they actually valid? It's time to question those. Are they valid? Or, it's time to kind of reassess your goal and actually go, okay, well, maybe that goal isn't really what I wanted to do. Maybe maybe the goal can be tweaked. And I don't think there's anything wrong in that, in tweaking the goal, because things change as we move through life. But I think what we're saying here, let's just make sure that we are staying on track to the things that we want to do, rather than just drifting through and just getting to the end of the year going, oh, nothing has moved. And as we always say on this, if you do exactly the same as you have always done again and again, you're going to stay in the same place year on year. And actually, do you want to be in that same place by the time the year ends? Or, and if something hasn't shifted in the way you wanted it so far, don't sack off the year. This is a really great opportunity to actually go, okay, right, I've still got 3.5 months left till Christmas. It's still time. And I think, I love this time of year because it's kind of back to school. It's that kind of New Year start. As a teacher, ex-teacher, shall I say, this was always such a fresh start of it's like new pencil case and all of that sort of thing. And you're going into autumn, it does feel like a good new fresh start. We're not at the end of the year yet, we've got a long way to go.
Exactly. But on the other hand, there is a temptation, I think, at this time of year to think, oh, you know what? It's September. Then it's going to be October. Then it's going to be Christmas. Why don't I just put it off till the new year? So I think that's why it's worth having this conversation at this point, because really there is so much that we can still achieve between now and January the 1st.
Yes.
And I think, one thing, Pauline, we've talked about this before, but when it comes to getting the damn thing done, just getting shit done in general, you and I have talked about this, and you and I kind of are this to each other. One of the best ways to get shit done is to get accountability. It's I cannot understate this, because it really is a game changer when it comes to doing the things that you don't want to do. If you've got somebody who is checking in with you, I'll give you an example. One of my best friends at the moment is trying to not best friends at the moment. One of my best friends is at the moment she is trying to cut down her drinking. And basically, the last time I saw her, we had a whole conversation about this, and it's something that she's been thinking about for a while, and she's just been finding it really hard to actually do. And every evening it gets to the point where she's like, oh god, fuck it, I'm just gonna have a drink, la la la. Anyway, so we decided that I would, she would use me as her accountability buddy. And all that means is that she sends me a message every few days. She's got this like app where she you get like a star for the days that you don't drink. And then what she does is she sends me a screenshot of this little app to show me, and then I send her a message back saying, awesome, well done. And it just, that alone helps to keep her going, because she's got somebody that she's checking in with, and she's she might think, oh god, well, I better not, I won't have a drink tonight because Lucy's going to be expecting that message. So I really think that if we can get somebody to hold us accountable for whatever it is, it makes so much difference. Sometimes just getting a message from a friend saying, did you go to the gym today? You said you were going to. Did you go? That can sometimes be all we need to just give us that little push. So, and we can all find somebody to hold us accountable, even if that person isn't doing that thing themselves. It doesn't matter. It's just finding that person who you can rely on to kind of give you that little poke, because we all have friends who are very good at persuading us not to do the damn thing, and we can all do it. I can do it, I've got friends who can do it, but actually we need those friends who are there to persuade us to do the damn thing. And so I think accountability is one thing that is so incredibly helpful. So I would say to anyone, if there's something that you want to get done or something that you want to start doing, whether it's kind of, I always use the example of early morning routines. And it's so funny because I have got 2 accountability buddies for this, as you know. I started about 4 or 5 years ago, getting up at 5, and I had an accountability buddy at the time called Michaela, who is now a friend. I love her to pieces. We barely knew each other when we started doing it. We actually met on an online course, and we would take it in turns to phone each other. And now I have two women / friends who I've met through the podcast and through my membership, who we phone each other. I phone one of them at 5 and one of them at 5:30. And actually, one of them, Victoria, who is my 5 a.m. So I phone, so Victoria's 5 a.m. and Jess is 5:30. And actually, in the last month, Victoria has been phoning me pretty much every morning, because I've been being really bad at phoning her. And so if I didn't have that account, even though I was the kind of the one that sort of started it, and she'd asked me if I would phone her, we've now been doing it for so long that it's kind of swung over to the other side, and now she is the one that's holding me account. She is the one that's calling me. And so that's just a good example of how accountability can be such a game changer. Because you and I are both early risers, but we can both relate to the fact that it's not always easy, and you can go through phases where it drops off a bit, or you're just a bit crap, or you're just like, oh my god, I'm finding it really hard, especially at the moment. The mornings are darker, it's cold, it's getting colder, and all that kind of stuff. So yes, that's an example of getting an accountability buddy to just help you do the thing that you really know that you want to do.
And I think also, along with that, actually sharing the thing you want to do. So obviously the accountability is good, but sharing it and having someone truly believe in you cannot be underestimated either. So it's almost like that they are holding that vision for you when you perhaps can't quite see it yourself, if that makes sense. So that's why having somebody who really understands what it is you want, and you going, yes, you can absolutely do that, can also be very powerful. That can sometimes be harder to find someone like that who is
Mm,
really buying into your vision. But I suppose that's where, sometimes investing in a coach can be really
yeah,
super helpful, because they often they can see it before you. And so when you're having all the wobbles, which you're probably going to have, they can hold you in that, and so that, they keep you moving towards whatever it is, so you can actually just get the thing done.
yeah,
Because when even when you do start, you're gonna have wobbles, wondering if you're capable, wondering if it's worth it. All the doubts and fears are going to come in, and that is when you just need that reassurance. Yes, you can do it. You can do it, because that little voice in your head otherwise can sometimes override all of the good feelings, all the good intentions, and that's when we kind of go, "Fuck it, I can't. I'm not.
yeah,
This isn't it."
yeah.
Um, so I think, yeah, that's also really, really important as well.
Totally. And the other thing, and this again is another thing that you and I have talked about at some point on Monday Motivation, but these are the kind I really believe, and I know that you and I have had this conversation, you cannot hear these things enough. These are the kinds of things that you need to hear over and over and over and over again. And so another thing that we've definitely talked about before is how when you're trying to get something done, or like so let's say you have a goal between now and the end of the year. Let's say let's say you want to write a book, and you've been wanting to write this book for years and years and years, and every day or every week you're like, oh my god, but you just can't seem to sit down and start writing this bloody book. the way to I think the way with anything to just get started is to start so so incredibly small that it seems ridiculous. Like, you could literally start by just writing 2 sentences or a paragraph. Because so often when we're trying to achieve something, when we're trying to do something, when we're trying to get something into our lives, we look at the kind of massive big picture and we think, oh my god, this is too overwhelming, it's going to take too long, it's too hard. And so we just go, sod it, I'm not going to do it. When in actual fact, if we would just start with the smallest possible step, that so often kicks you into action. And just writing that first paragraph, or it could be that you want to start running, for example, or you want to start making exercise a bigger part of your life. You want to start exercising regularly, but you keep putting it off because to go for half an hour run just feels like, oh my god, it's too hard and I just don't want to do it, and you just keep putting it off and off and off and off. When in actual fact, if you just got your fucking running gear on, walked out the door, and walked 5 minutes down the road, oh, we've got a thumbs up. I don't know where that came from. If you would just start there by literally putting your running shoes on, putting your running gear on, walking out the front door with absolutely no expectation whatsoever, and just walking down the road for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
that is a start. And that is how all of these things start, with that first tiny, 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 weeny little step. It's just, we think that we have to do too much, and in fact what we need to do is just the smallest possible thing that we can think of.
Yeah.
Hi Blue, there's my niece. Hi
Um,
babe.
yeah, absolutely. I've set myself a little goal um before the end of the year to be able to do 5 unassisted pull-ups,
Oh wow.
because we've got a pull-up bar outside. And I used to be able to do this, and I can't at the moment. But actually what I'm doing at the moment is literally, I've got the pull-up bar sort of outside. I have a band, and whenever I have a spare, like if I'm having a break or a moment, I'll just go and put my foot in the band, and I'll just do one. I literally just do one. And through the day, I might maybe do three. I don't know, but it doesn't really. And then I'll try and do a few more, kind of like in a session. But actually, I'm just thinking, even if I do one little, now and again, I don't care. It's something, and then I won't feel like, oh God, I've forgotten to do any training or any practice. But it's something, and it makes me feel like I'm getting towards that goal. And I've also, so I've said this. So with Giles, my husband, he's got a goal with pull-ups as well. And because I'm quite competitive, that's kind of keeping me on track as well, because it's like, no, if he's going to do it, I'm going to do it. So I think it's about finding what works for you. You know, if you are competitive and you want to do something, then yeah, find someone who's going to be competitive with you. And you're
Yeah,
going to carry
yeah,
on doing it. But yeah, even one is fine. Because initially I'd be going, oh, well, I need to do like 20 minutes of pull-ups in some sort of way. And
yeah,
actually, like, no, I can't. It's not realistic. I'm not going to do that.
yeah,
One here, one there is fine.
absolutely. My niece has just said, this is so ironic because I literally started the couch to 5K this morning. Well done, Chick. That's amazing.
Oh, well
And
done.
and I think the couch to 5K is a really good example of this because I've never done it myself, but from what I understand, you literally start by doing like a minute run, 5 minutes walk, a minute run, or something like that. So this is a good example of something where you start really, really, really small.
Hmm.
And initially it can feel quite overwhelming, but actually when you do it in this way, it makes it so much more doable because you're just concentrating on that first very, very, very small step.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I think that is just a complete game changer, isn't it?
yeah.
But also, I think we also have to, and this is coming at it from a bit of a more harsh angle, but I think sometimes we just need a fucking kick up the arse in terms of, do you know what? You almost have to get so sick of your own excuses and your own bullshit that you just get to the point where you're like, do you know what? I can't bear this anymore. I'm just gonna do the damn thing because otherwise I'm gonna drive myself crazy. Because if you think about how much energy you waste, I definitely do this. If there's something I want to do and I'm not doing it, I will, it's not like I'm not thinking about it all the time. It's bothering me because I'm constantly thinking, oh my God, I need to do that thing, but I'm not doing it. And then you end up just in this horrible cycle of feeling really guilty, feeling like you've let yourself down, all of these things. It's just such a horrible feeling. So actually there is a part of this that is kind of, you have to say to yourself, you just have to make that decision, like, come on, I'm just gonna bloody do
Yeah.
this. I think sometimes we have to be a bit strict with ourselves, you know.
A very quick break to ask you to hit the follow or subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're enjoying this episode, I'd be super grateful if you could hit those stars and rate it too. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, you do. It's kind of like you've got to find that sort of little burst of something because
Yeah,
the moment you've done that, then you've changed your energy, and then you're going to, it's just about getting that momentum. You've just got to make that forward motion. Otherwise, if you think about it, you're just really stuck and stagnant, and nothing's happened.
yeah,
But once you've made that like, right, come on, give yourself a kick up the bum, and you actually move forward, you're in that forward motion. So it's just about keeping that motion going, and then then it sort of starts to snowball, and then you get that momentum. And we all know that that's how it is. The moment you stop and you stop doing something, it's very easy to kind of grind to a halt. But
yeah,
actually, just just keeping those small steps moving forward,
yeah,
it is the way to do it. And yes, sometimes you've just got to go, bloody hell, just get out of bed and do the thing. And you've got to give yourself
yeah.
a good old talking
And
to.
also I think what we sometimes forget is that, we can't wait to feel motivated. Actually,
Yeah,
we have to create that motivation in ourselves. We're never going to feel like doing the thing that we want to do. I mean, we might, okay, yes, we might at some point suddenly feel inspired to go for a run or start writing the book or whatever it is, but ultimately let's assume that most of the time when it comes to motivation, we have to create it, we have to cultivate it. And the way that we cultivate that feeling of motivation to move forward is by taking the first step when we don't fucking feel like
yeah,
it. If we're waiting around to feel motivated, we are never going to do it, because again, it is something that we have to cultivate within ourselves. And the way that it's like, this is one of my favorite sort of sayings or favorite kind of concepts, is that, clarity comes from action and motivation comes from action. Action doesn't come from feeling motivated. And with anything, and I have so found this in my own life over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, that it's in the taking of action. It's in the taking of those first steps. That is when the clarity starts to come, and that is when you start to feel motivated. It's not the other way around.
No.
And we get it so wrong because we're sitting around waiting for that motivation. And in fact, we need to take the step that then leads us to feeling motivated to do it the second time, the third time, the fourth time. It really, really is how it works. So
yeah, and it's the same with confidence as well. You know, it's the same.
yeah,
You can't just get confident. You have to do the thing, take the action for that to build and grow, and then that's what spurs you on to the next thing, to the next thing. So yeah, you just can't. It doesn't work. Motivation isn't a thing until you do the action. You're
yeah,
so right, and we have. Yeah, we did a whole episode, I think, didn't
I'm
we, on motivation?
sure we must have done.
I think we did. What else?
Do you know one thing? Like,
Go
this
on.
is completely going off on a tangent, but speaking of your pull-ups, this really is going off the subject of getting the thing done. But I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday because speaking of strength training, right, which, as you know, I've kind of properly embraced over the last 4-ish months, and I'm doing it really regularly. But one thing, because you know much more about this than I do, I have found that my left side is so much weaker than my right side. And to the point where I sometimes feel a bit worried because I'll be doing, so I've got just like dumbbells. I've got I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4 and 5 kg weights, which is probably really light and pathetic to you. But to me, the 5 kg is like bloody heavy. Anyway, I've noticed that when I'm doing particularly arm exercises, in the last kind of couple of rounds, my left arm will really be struggling so much more than my right arm. Is that normal?
Yes.
Is it?
That's so normal. We're all so lopsided. That's so normal. One of my legs, yeah, I think it's my left leg, is so much weaker than my right, and it always has been. You know, I can stand on one leg really, really confidently. The other one, I'm all over the place. It's very normal. Well, if you think about it, you know, it's kind of, yeah, we're lopsided.
Okay,
So don't worry about that.
Yeah, because it has been slightly worrying me because the difference is so significant that I think, oh my God, what is wrong with the left side of my body? Why?
That's why doing these weight exercises will be really good, because it will help to bring up the other side to your stronger side. So yes, it's all good.
Okay. And in fact, on the same topic, sorry, anyone who's listening to this thinking they've gone off on a complete tangent, but my friend yesterday was saying how what you should do is you should lower the weights to what your weaker side can deal with rather than up the weights. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like is that right? Is that what you should do?
I personally think you should keep them balanced. Personally.
Yes, keeping them. Sorry, I'll explain that better. So always using the same weights in both hands, for example, but like for example, if your left side if your left side, for example, is really struggling with say 6 kgs, but your right side is perfectly fine with 6 kgs, should you lower the weight that you use to what your left side can cope with? Or am I getting a bit too
yeah, probably because you want to strengthen that left side and bring it up to the right.
So even though you might be kind of not pushing your right side to what it's
Lucy, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Sorry, I expect you to know all of these answers.
I don't know.
No, thanks anyway, love.
But yeah, what else can we talk about getting the shit done? So I don't know. I think we've covered it really. You know, small steps, kick up the bum, don't wait for motivation. Accountability is everything. Tell somebody your big vision, write it down, and really keep checking back into that vision, you know, and do that now at this time of year, as we said, check in. Break it down into small steps. I'm a great one for ticking things off a chart. You know, I love having a little plan and ticking things off, but that really appeals to me. It doesn't appeal to everybody, but that can really help you keep on track when you're having those wobbles.
Totally. It's like celebrating yourself. And also I think now is the time of year, because in January, if you're like thinking about what you've got to do for the next year, that feels incredibly overwhelming. But given the fact that it's September the 19th, you could actually make a plan as to what you are going to do by the end of the year, like how much you can achieve by the end of the year, because it's a shorter amount of time. It's not so intimidating. So actually, it might be an idea to make a plan of where you want to be by the end of December.
Yeah.
And that will, and yeah, like you say, ticking it off, I think, is a really good idea, because if you give yourself that, even just ticking something off is like giving yourself a reward. It's giving yourself that kind of dopamine of like, yes, I did it. And ultimately, that is the thing I think we have to remind ourselves of. We never feel like doing those things. Like, I never feel like getting on my fucking rebounder, bouncing at like 6:30 in the morning for 20 minutes and then doing 25 minutes of strength training. I never feel like doing it. But I have to tell myself, Lucy, you are going to feel so much better. And in fact, you're not just going to feel so much better, you are going to have a great day, because you're starting it with a meditation and some exercise and a walk and whatever else. I think this is the thing. We have to remind ourselves that, yes, these things they're not always appealing, or they're very, very rarely appealing, if ever. But we have to kind of get good at doing those, taking those consistent steps that are boring and they are unglamorous and nobody else necessarily sees us doing them. But we have to get used to doing those, because it's those things that get us to where we want to get. And by doing the thing that we don't want to do, we've just got to remember that on the other side of that is us feeling incredibly proud of ourselves and incredibly good. And ultimately, we want to feel good. So if we do the thing that we don't want to do, we are going to feel good. Whereas if we keep not doing the thing that we don't want to do rather, we're going to just, it's like it chips away at your self-confidence and your self-worth. It's like the longer you, and I've done this and I do this regularly, the longer you just don't do that thing and you put it off, it's chipping away at your sense of confidence and your sense of self-worth and your sense of self-esteem more than I think we realize. So, you've got to get strict with yourself and say, come on, I've just got to do it. And then I know that on the other side of it, I'm going to feel really bloody good, because you inevitably will.
And that's the thing. When you do something that perhaps you didn't really want to do, the reward is often greater once you've done it, because it's like, oh my God, I didn't want to do it and I actually did it. And so it is a bigger kind of like, yes. And so your confidence immediately really grows, your motivation for next time grows. It is greater than just doing something which is kind of quite easy for you to do. You don't get a huge reward from that. But I must admit, every morning, I go, like you, I will work out every single morning. Do I ever feel like it at 6 a.m? No, I don't. I never feel like it. Once I've done it, I feel bloody amazing. And I'm so proud of myself, and it's great. And I feel strong. And then I can feel myself getting stronger, and I love it. And so that reward is what keeps me going back again and again and again.
Absolutely.
That feeling of yes, I did it, and I can do hard things. And then every time you do something that you didn't want to do, it just builds that resilience muscle as well, so that you can find yourself in other areas of your life then being able to tackle hard things, because you know that you can get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go and do a workout or whatever it is. But it just makes you realize you can tackle hard things. And it's a very positive thing.
100%. Well, we are right on time. It's 9:30.
Right. Perfect.
Pleasure as always.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening, watching, and we will be back next time
on Monday.
Yeah, we'll be back on Monday.
All right, love.
Perfect.
Speak to you later. Lots of love.
Bye. Take care. Bye.